So what happened with this one, they were using it and all of a sudden it quit running, ran out of fuel. They added more fuel, still couldn't get it to run. And then they figured they didn't have power going to the lift pump, so they fooled with that until they got power working there. Still didn't run, and then they didn't have power to the shut-off solenoid on the pump, which would be this guy here. So then they fooled with that until they got that working, and then they wired up a relay on it, and they still couldn't get it to run, so they took the injection pump off and took it all apart and cleaned it all up, didn't find anything wrong with that, put it back together. And then they took the injectors out, took them all apart, didn't find anything wrong there, put them back together, and nothing would work still. So then they called me, I came down, start working my way through, and so the first thing I found was that the relay was not hooked up correctly, so the fuel shutoff solenoid was still not getting powered. So that was part of the problem. Got that fixed, and then still weren't getting fuel into the pump. So loosened the line off, checked, yeah, we had fuel to the pump, but not into the pump. So then pulling this out, just checking if we have fuel pass, we didn't. So I took the pressure regulating valve apart, and one piece in there was flipped the other way, so it was jamming the ports closed. So that was put together wrong, fixed that. Then we had fuel up to here, that was perfect. But then we still didn't have fuel coming out of the injectors. We had fuel up to the solenoid, but not to the injectors. Solenoid's working. So I pulled the top cover off, and I think what happened there was it's got that little key in there that's the shutoff key, and I don't think it was splined correctly into this guy, so it was being held in the off position. So fix that, put the cover back on, and then all of a sudden we had fuel coming out at the injectors. Still wouldn't run. No smoke, no nothing. Okay. This pump is it's keyed to the gears, so it can't really be out of time. So that seemed like it wasn't the issue, but they did take the injectors apart and they had adjusted the pop pressure, but they don't have a test stand, so they don't know where the pressures were set at. So then I took all the injectors out, took them home, threw them on the test stand with these injectors. So this is an injector test stand. We got our pressure gauge, diesel fuel, we got an adapter line going to the injector, and basically this is just a big high pressure pump. So what we do is you wrap down on the pump and you read what your pressure is, and that tells you what your opening pressure is on your injector. That determines injector timing as well as how good your spray pattern is. So when I pump this one, we should be, I don't know exactly what the spec is for this injector, I haven't looked it up yet, but it's usually going to be somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 psi. So we should be seeing this needle come up somewhere in this range. But if you watch here, when I pull this down, you see we're not even getting to 1,000 psi. And the injector should pop and chatter, but it's not doing anything. It's just kind of squirting. It should be making like a mist of fog here is what should be happening. It just kind of squirts. It should go is what should be happening, but because our opening pressure is so low, the springs in here can't do their job. So we need to raise that opening pressure like quite a bit. So let me grab some tools here and get this thing apart, and we'll tune that up a little bit. Okay, so we're sitting here at about 900 psi. Just gonna grab my key. It's leaking fuel everywhere now because this nut is loosened off, so I can turn this, but we'll give it, oh, back that nut off a bit. We'll give it, this is really hard to do with only one hand. We'll give it about a quarter turn. Better take this out or it's gonna give a problem. Okay, now let's see where that gets us. Okay, so now we're up to 1,500 psi. I'm going to give it another quarter turn. Try it again. Oh, we're leaking way too much here. Something's not right. Okay, so I just didn't understand why we were bypassing all of our fuel out the top of the injector like that in the last video there. And so I went to take it apart to find out what was up, and this gland nut is totally loose. And I don't know if that was on purpose or if it just got missed or what, but this absolutely has to be torqued, and I'll show you why. I didn't grab all the injectors, but I have the other one here that I had brought to my workbench here, and this one is also loose. So that's going to do the same thing. So we found our fuel issue up to this point. So what happens is your fuel comes in here and it has porting that goes down inside and down into your nozzle. Now that porting goes through. This is where your needle pintle goes, and that's your fuel port right there. Notice how there's no seal here. And same thing here. You got your 2 pilot holes for those pins to make sure it's lined up. And that's your fuel hole there. There's no seal here. The only thing that seals this is the fact that this is a perfectly machined surface. So this has to be perfectly clean, and it has to be torqued right tight against, oops, I gotta get my pins lined up here. It has to be torqued right tight against there. Now right now I can't push it together because we have some pressure on our adjusting nut, which has a spring in there, and that spring is forcing it down. The spring is pushing this apart, and then our fuel is escaping out of there and going straight out the return. So I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to torque it up properly. We'll throw it back on the test stand, and then we'll see what it does. Yeah, I don't know what the torque spec is on that nut. I have to look that up yet. Right now I just made it nice and tight just because I want to do proof of concept and make sure that I'm chasing the right duck here. So I did not adjust the adjustment up here from where I left it off in the last video. I just left it in the same spot, and let's just see what we get here. We'll back this up a bit. There's a lot going on here, so I don't know how good this is going to show up on video, but let's see what we got. So I'll have to bleed it again. Oh yeah, you see how that gives a nice puff of like fog? We're way closer already. Okay, so it's still squirting, but we're getting up to 2,000 psi before it opens. It's getting a little bit of a chatter. Not much, but a little bit. So let's loosen this off again. Oop, I'm gonna need a plier here. We'll just tighten this up a little more. Increase our pressure a little bit more and see if we can get some chatter out of it. Again, I don't know what the PSI is supposed to be. I got to look that up yet, but well, this injector is actually pretty much wore out. It needs to be replaced, but it will run like this. It'll just be a little smoky. I'll crank her down some more. Let's see how that goes. Now we're getting up to 3,000 psi. There, you hear that chatter? And you can see a really nice fog coming out of there now. That's what you want. We're getting closer to it operating correctly now. I just need to find out what the actual PSI is supposed to be and set it to that pressure. So let me figure that out and I'll get back to you. Okay, so according to the nozzle number, and that is this BDLL number. According to that big long number there, when you check in the book, we are supposed to be right around 3,000 psi on the pot pressure. And so when we started, we were under 1,000, so we're 2,000 psi off. So right now, we're not quite hitting 3,000, so I'm going to tighten it up a bit more. Yeah, let's see where that gets us here. You hear that chirping? And you can see just that beautiful fog coming out of there. That's the way it's supposed to work. Now this injector is worn out. If I give it pressure and raise it, it should just go pop one time, but it doesn't. Right there at 3,000 psi, you see it start to drip. So that is opening now, but it's leaking. So that injector is wore out, needs a new nozzle. But it will run like this. At 900 psi, the fuel is just dribbling into the cylinder, and it's dribbling in way too soon. And that's why we weren't getting any smoke. It is getting fuel into the cylinders, but it's not atomizing it. And you can't just pour it in with a 5-gallon pail and expect it to burn, right? It has to be properly atomized. So where we're at now, that's very nice. That injector is set up as good as it can be for what it is. that engine will run like this now. I just got to do the same procedure to all the rest of the injectors, and then we should be good to go. Okay, next injector. Yeah, same thing. We're like 950 psi. So let's turn this up. Okay, see where that gets us. Oh, this one's way better. So we're not even up to 3000 psi yet, but it has a nice chirp. You hear that? That's what you want. Gotta go a little higher yet. Okay, see where that gets us. Whoop. Well, this one, now that I put a bit more pressure on it, see how it's dribbling? Shouldn't be doing that. We're not quite getting to 3000 psi yet, so we'll crank it a little higher yet. Okay, let's try that. Oh, went too high. Now we're 3500. That's no good. You have to back it off a bit. You're too hard on the injection pump, and it also changes the injection timing when you do that. So, dropping everything. Okay, let's see where we're at. Just over 3000. Gonna drop it down a little more. Let's try that. Okay, so it is opening at 3000, but it's squirting. It's leaking is what's happening. But it is set right. It's got decent chatter, so it'll run like this. It won't start as good, and it'll be a little bit smoky just like the other one, but it will run like this. Okay, next one. This was the same thing. The gland nut for the nozzle holder was just hand tight. And so I took it apart and cleaned it real thorough just to make really sure that we don't have any possible garbage in that really delicate sealing surface. Because remember, there's no seal there. It's just completely a machine surface. Now, I haven't touched anything else as far as adjusting this one. We'll just see where it is right now. Bleed it first. Oh, look at that. This one's a little better. So it's the same thing as the other ones. The nozzles wore out, but we're 2000 psi left, leaving it set the way it was. So we got to go up another 1000. Oh yeah, I'm going to need to get a pliers here. Let's see if I can do this with vice grips here. Give them about a quarter turn or so. Okay, see where we're at now. Yeah, right on 3000 it starts to open. It's got good chatter to it. Nozzle leaks, so again, it's wore out. It's going to be a bit smoky. Won't start as good as it could, but it will start and it will run. Okay, last one. This was the same thing. That nozzle nut was not tight on this one either, so they all got missed or whatever. So I took it apart, cleaned it up really good, make really sure that that sealing surface is going to be perfect. I didn't adjust anything else. We'll just see where this one is set. Oh, this one's bad. This one's 950. 950. Okay. I'll loosen that lock nut up top of there. Readjust this one. And give that one quite a bit because it's quite far off. Okay, let's see where we're at here. Need to go more. Feels pretty soft. It's not a very good injector again. Okay, we're just opening there at 3000. Just a hair under. Let me just turn it up a touch more. There, now we're just a hair over. I want these to be balanced. You want them as exact as you can, matching each other, like not necessarily exactly 3000 psi, but you want them all opening at exactly the same pressure. That engine will run much smoother and more balanced that way. There we go, that's what I want. So you can see again, this one just kind of squirts. That pintle will be lifting inside and it's allowing stuff past. It shouldn't do that. As I raise this pressure up, it should just go chirp, just one pop and give a nice fog, but it doesn't do that. when the engine is running, it runs more like this. And so with nice chatter like that, you can tell that it is going to run. But again, it's just same as the other injectors. It's not going to run as good as it could. It really does need new injectors, but it will run this way. Okay, I got to torque all these lock nuts on top, and I'm going to throw some new O-rings on there that are the right size, and then I'll head back. So now the injectors are all working. They're kind of weak. They're not very good, but it'll run. Put it back together, it still won't run. And so then I said, well, we better double check the timing. So pop the cover off in here, and just double checked my timing marks down in the gears in there. The gear is in time, the pump is in time, but for whatever reason we're supposed to be on the C mark in here, but we're on the B mark. According to the book, it should be the C mark, but sometimes the book isn't exactly right because they cover a lot of different versions of that same pump. So I'm not 100% sure, but because the pump was taken apart and put back together, I thought, well, I better get to the bottom of this and make sure that everything is installed correctly, because the cam plate can be in upside down, the transfer liner can go both ways. There's a bunch of stuff in there that can be backwards and seem like it's right. So I tore the pump down, cleaned it all up. Well, this is all I've got left of that pump sitting here. The rest of it is all in here, waiting to go through the ultrasonic cleaner, get a cycle gone through here to clean this all up. I brake cleaned all this stuff, and so it looks pretty clean, but you'll be surprised how dirty this actually is. Can't have this stuff that dirty. It has to be clean. So I'm going to run it through a cycle and we'll go from there. When I turn this on, you'll be able to see the stuff just clouding off of there. Alright, so I've run this stuff all through the ultrasonic cleaner, cleaned it up really nice. I kind of cheated, I did not take that end of it apart. Those settings are pretty much impossible to set properly without the correct tooling, and that is a bit of tooling that I actually don't have. Very specialized stuff. The rest of the pieces all here, I have them all nicely cleaned up, ready to go back together as well. I should get a new set of transfer blades. These transfer blades are worn pretty bad, but I'm going to try and flip them and see if we can get away with that. That's where that's at. So now it's time to get it back on the stand here and get it back together. Everything, didn't really find anything in there that was for sure the issue. Pressure regulating valve is wore. I don't have those pieces, so I turned up the pressure a little bit to compensate for the wear. Hopefully that's going to be okay. The timing advance is another thing that can be put together wrong. I think it's right. So I'm back here now today to put this all back in there, and we'll try again, see if we can make it run. It's a head scratcher, this one. A lot of different problems, but some of them are created just by going into these things and not really knowing, you know, what you're doing. You can create a lot of new problems that way, and it takes a long time to work your way through and find these all. We got a boogered up stud in the bottom, so I got to fix the threads on that. These are hard enough to get at as is, let alone having damage there, so I'm going to get that fixed up. Oh, I love my job, 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 I love my job. I love my job, I love my job, I love my job, I love it. There we go, I got the stud out of there. You can see the threads are messed up on the end. Can't get a nut started on it. So we'll rethread it, make it right. So I'm just holding my stud in the stud extractor, so that way I don't damage the threads on the other side while I chase these threads and fix them up nice. Oh, I hate working in the mud. Maybe I could be a truck driver or something. So don't mind my mess here, charging my battery, and I got wires everywhere because there's some big wiring problems here, and I'm just jumping power to the shut-off solenoid and the fuel pump. But put the pump back in, made sure it was all timed, but the problem is we're not opening the injectors. So I set those injectors up to 3000 psi, which is what the book said they were supposed to be, and the pump is not making enough pressure to open them. So there's something going on inside that pump. Not exactly sure what it is, but something goofy is going on there. This one might have to go to a pump shop because I just don't have the calibration tools to see what's going on inside there. So I've got the injector out, just laying here, and I'm going to crank it over and we'll see if it sprays or not. I got to hook my power up here on the battery so that we got fuel pump. There we go. Well, how'd we do? No, it's not spraying. Really?